Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this video, I want to talk about how the Eagles of Death Metal band are selling out their fans and selling out the people of the world. And I'm not blaming them. I think they are just one of many examples of people who go before the mainstream and purposefully deceive them so that they can remain in power or can remain being paid a wealthy amount, as people such as Josh Homme and Jesse Hughes are, who have been in mainstream, or I shouldn't say mainstream, but who have been the employees of major record companies for decades now. Josh Homme's been making music since the early 90s with Caius, Queens of the Stone Age, several other bands. Anyhow, in this video, what I want to show is why this band was playing at the Bataclan Theater on November 13th, 2015. What I have been researching for more than 2 years is how the powers that be, the people who run the show, who control the news media, who control the record studios, who control Hollywood, who control media, the people who have a stranglehold on the things that set the tone for culture, if you will, these people operate by a numerological code, meaning, to give you a visualization of what we're going to go through, imagine you're looking at a calendar, and on certain dates, there are special alignments in numerology. These days become more special on the calendar than other days. In this case, the shooting at the Bataclan Theater was on a Friday the 13th in France, a day that has much superstition around it. But what most people don't know is that the superstition around Friday the 13th comes out of France from the year 1307, when the Knights Templar were burned at the stake by King Philip IV, who was in control of France at the time. The Knights Templar are the original Freemasons. In the world we live in today, the Masons, the Zionists, they control the mainstream media, and they operate by a numerological code that has been in place for hundreds of years, since before the beginning of this nation. And so often when major events happen, they fall on days that have numerological significance and historical significance. So in the rest of this post, what I'm going to educate more about is numerology, gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words, and how those things are used to line up and falsify history in an ongoing pre-planned agenda, which is what we, the people of Earth, are living out. What happened on November 13th was an activity planned many years in advance, much like September 11th. Bob Kerrey, who was on the 9/11 Commission, a former congressman, a former state governor, he publicly admitted that 9/11 was planned for more than 30 years by our own government and nobody will ever get to the bottom of it. He said that. Open forum. Former 9/11 commissioner. Planned for over 30 years. In 1968, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. Space Odyssey 2001 was made. 33 years later, think about what happened in 2001. Bush became the president. 9/11 happened. World Trade Center's 9/11 coming together. I always thought it was funny this thing happened on this date, 9/11, when 911 is the emergency code. So that's the introduction, Truth Seeker. With regards to 9/11 and how events are lined up by the numbers, let me go back and show you something with regards to Vice. We're going to be talking about the Vice interview that is coming up with the members of the band. Check this out, Truth Seeker. Vice magazine in 1994, Vice magazine now has a TV show as well, which is what the Eagles of Death Metal are going on. But anyway, they have a magazine that has been around since 1994. And one of their first articles they ever put out was in 1994. It was this what you're looking at, a picture of Beavis and Butthead with darker skin with turbans on their head flying planes into the World Trade Center buildings. And here's that article from 1994. This article asks the reader, what is Al Qaeda? And this magazine is telling people about this very small terrorist organization that plans to grow called Al Qaeda, that has plans of hijacking planes and flying them into the World Trade Centers. You can read this article online. It asks the reader to imagine the buildings falling down from such an attack. And lo and behold, that's what happens exactly 7 years later in 2001. All written about in this magazine, Vice. Now check this out, Truth Seeker. Here's something I want to show you about how numbers are coded and how this gang operates by an important numerological code. The word Vice, the name of the magazine, the name of the news show, has a gematria of 39. V, the 22nd letter. I, the 9th. C, the 3rd. E, the 5th. Add it together, 39. The date that they began their first TV show, which is what the Eagles of Death Metal will be going on, their latest episode, it began April 5th, 2013. This is a date with 42 numerology. These are important numbers. When you write out the numbers as words, 39, 42, they both have a gematria of 142, which is yet another important number. But the point is 39 and 42, they share this numerology. And one of their first articles, Vice, was foreshadowing what would happen on 9/11, which was an attack that lasted an hour and 42 minutes. An hour and 42, kind of like 142. The word terrorist equals 142. Also, an hour and 42 is 102 minutes, and Al Qaeda in Jewish gematria equals 102. This article was written in response to the 93 World Trade Center bombings. On September 11th, there was flight 93 of 33 passengers. The first building to be hit at the World Trade Center complex was hit by flight 11. New York's the 11th state. The World Trade Centers were like giant 11s. But that plane hit floors 93 through 99. The next plane to hit the other tower, flight 175, hit the building at 9:03 a.m. A lot of 93. The word propaganda equals 93. It's also a very important number in New York, as is 39 and 42. Think about the abbreviation for the state. NY, that's 14 plus 25 equals 39. New York City, NYC, 3 more, 42. These numbers are very much coded in New York. This Vice magazine, one of their first articles, again, focused on the 93 World Trade Center bombing in New York and foreshadowed what would happen on 9/11. Vice magazine. Since 2013, Vice magazine has been recording ISIS, going undercover filming ISIS in Syria. They've been one of the news outlets promoting this latest brand of propaganda like they once promoted the brand of Al Qaeda propaganda. This article from 94 Truth Seeker, foreshadowing exactly what would happen. The date of September 11th, 2001, a date with numerology of 41, USA equals 41, Al Qaeda in simple English gematria also equals 41. So this is a warm-up for what we're going to talk about with the Eagles of Death Metal. Notice this article that Vice magazine wrote mocking the truth, saying, apparently we were in on 9/11, when they were. Notice what date this came out, February 22nd. 222. The Paris attacks happened to last 222 minutes, and this number has a connection to the band, which we'll talk about as well. Also, with regards to the fact that this happened in Paris, France, one of the most famous names in Paris is Alexandre Gustave Eiffel, which the Eiffel Tower is named after. His name has a gematria of 222. In Paris, a 222-minute attack. Doing things by the numbers. Should be noted that radio has a gematria of 47. The Eiffel Tower is a radio tower. It should be known that France has a gematria of 47, and also rock has a gematria of 47. We're going to be talking about a rock band. The fitting music for many other alignments to come in numbers, as we're about to get to. So, these guys went on Vice and did an interview. And last week, Vice did a preview for their upcoming interview. You know, this is supposed to be a news show about a tragedy, getting information from the band members who haven't spoke out, and they're treating it like it's a movie. They're putting out a 1-minute preview saying, make sure you tune in to see what they're going to say. And then they give us a little clip from the interview. And I wrote down for you what was said. You can watch this yourself. I can't show it because it would be a copyright claim, but I can read to you what's revealed. So the interviewer interviews Jesse Hughes. Jesse Hughes' nickname is the Devil. The two frontmen for the Eagles of Death Metal are Josh Homme and Jesse Hughes, who have been in a number of other bands. Anyhow, the interview goes such as this. Jesse Hughes first speaks. Several people hid in our dressing room, and the killers were able to get in, and they killed every one of them except for a kid who was hiding under my leather jacket. And when he says that, it just kind of makes me go, really? Like, what would a kid be doing in your dressing room? And, I mean, can a person really hide behind a leather jacket? That sounds like something out of a movie. Then the questioner goes, the killers got in your dressing room? Jesse Hughes goes, yeah, people were playing dead, and they were so scared. A great reason why so many were killed is because so many people wouldn't leave their friends. So many people put themselves in front of people. Then right after that, we are given a to be continued. My question is how does he have this firsthand account? How does he know these specifics? Was he someone that survived because he put people in front of him? I mean, perhaps all that's to come in the much hyped news interview, which is just sad. Realize that Vice is a for-profit news organization, and they are hyping an interview that should just be public knowledge if right now our government is actively trying to scare us, and so is France, into war over this. You know? This should be important information. It shouldn't be kept and exclusive to Vice. You know? The signs of the foul play are abound. I'm going to go into the number connections. I'm doing this big introduction so that you have a greater understanding of why I make these videos and why I've taken the time to understand what is done to us at this length. So anyhow, with regards to leather jacket, which is in the story, it has very interesting gematria. Leather is also a word with 33 gematria alone, which I should have put up there. Leather equals 33, jacket equals 14. So put it together, it sums to 47. In the year 1947, the Zionist state of Israel was approved with a 33-member vote by the United Nations, which is located in New York and is 39 floors tall. Everything in New York is coded 39. Think about 39 signers on the Declaration of Independence. These are very important numbers to the Masons and Zionists who, again, run this show. So, leather jacket equals 47 and the big way 119. This is perfectly identical to Star of David, which has gematria of 119 and 47, the symbol of the Zionists, who these numbers are very important to. And again, this is in for the news company Vice. Vice has the gematria of 39. The date of the November 13th attack in Paris, a date with 39 numerology.